Evelyn Herito from BSB A2B of Colegio de Montalban. My report is all about transorganizational change. First, we should define what transorganizational change is. So, transorganizational change describes interventions that move beyond a single organization to include merging, allying, or networking with other organizations. So, organizations are expanding their bodies to keep with extremely complex and quickly changing surroundings, which is leading to an increase in the number of these multi-organizational strategic planning and OD, or organizational development. Under these conditions, organizations may merge with or acquire other firms to gain essential capabilities and resources, to operate at a larger scale, and to enter new markets. They may form strategic alliances with other organizations to share costs and expertise and to manage their exchanges more efficiently. They may join with other firms to tackle complex problems and projects that single organizations cannot accomplish. Let us know the reason of this transorganizational change. So these are the transorganizational rationales. The first one is transorganizational strategies allow organizations to perform tasks that are too costly and complicated for a single organization to perform. For example, pharmaceutical firms form strategic alliances to distribute non-competing medications and to avoid the high cost of establishing sales organization. Firms from different countries form joint ventures to overcome restrictive trade barriers, and high-technology firms form research collaborations to undertake significant and costly research and development for their studies. Goods and services are exchanged between organization and transaction occur. These tasks include the full range of organizational activities, including purchasing raw materials, hiring and compensating organizational members, manufacturing and service delivery, obtaining investment capital, marketing and distribution, and strategic planning. For example, organizations can acquire a raw material provider and operate this task as part of internal operations, or they can collaborate with raw material supplier through long-term contracts in an alliance. The third one is transorganizational strategies work best when transactions occur frequently and are well understood. One example of these are the existing outsourcing companies. These companies, for example, outsource their payroll tasks because the inputs such as hours worked, pay rates, and employment status, the throughput such as tax rates and withholding, and the outputs occur regularly and are governed by well-known laws and regulations. Moreover, if transactions involve people, equipment, or other assets that are unique to the task, then transorganizational linkage is preferred approach. Next is transorganizational system. This is referred to the groups of organizations that have joined together for a common purpose. It is a functional social system existing intermediately between single organization or the one hand and societal system on the required methods, different from most traditional OD interventions that are geared to single organizations. These methods help organizations recognize the needs for trans-organizational partnership and develop coordinating structures for carrying them out. Members maintain their separate organizational identities and goals. This multi-organizational system can make decisions and perform tasks on behalf of their members. Organization. Although members maintain their separate organizational identities and goals, this separation distinguishes trans-organizational system from mergers and acquisition. Also, network interventions may be appropriate. In contrast to the most organizational systems, it tends to be under-organized and member organizations are loosely coupled. Because leadership and power are dispersed among autonomous organizations rather than hierarchically centralized, and commitment and membership are tenuous as members' organizations act to maintain their autonomy while jointly performing members, organizations may not perceive the need to join with other members. They may be concerned with maintaining their autonomy or have trouble identifying potential partners. Even if organizations design together, they may have problems managing their relationship and controlling joint performances because members typically are accustomed to hierarchical forms of control. They may have difficulty managing lateral relations among independent organizations. They also may have difficulty managing different levels or commitment and motivation among members and sustaining membership over time. The network interventions described in this chapter can help transorganizational systems understand and address these problems. There are three kinds of interventions that are described. First, mergers and acquisitions. Second, strategic alliances. Third is networks. Mergers and acquisitions. It involves the combination of two organizations. Merger means refers the integration of two previously independent organizations into a completely new organization. And acquisition means involves the purchase of one organization by another for integration into the acquiring organization. Merger and acquisitions are distinct from the interventions described later in this chapter because at least one of the organizations ceases to exist. And these are the merger and acquisitions rationales. Organizations have a number of reasons for wanting to acquire or merge with other firms, including diversification or vertical integration, gaining access to global markets, technology, or other resources, and achieving operational efficiencies, improve innovation or resource sharing. As a result, merger and acquisition have become a preferred method for rapid growth and strategic change. Merger and acquisition are widely used, but their past history of performance is questionable. Lack of strong strategic justification, unrealistic expectation of synergy, paying too much for the transaction, competing company cultures, and inaction are the few of the causes for merger failure that are frequently stated. Mergers and acquisitions are preferred when internal development is considered too slow or when strategic alliances or networks do not offer sufficient control over key resources to meet the firm's objectives. In addition, the organizational development issues described here, merger and acquisition are complex changes that involve legal and financial knowledge beyond the scope of this text. Organizational development practitioners are encouraged to seek out and work out with specialists in these other relevant disciplines. Next is the application stage of the merger and acquisition, and the major merger and acquisition phases, its key steps, and the OD and change management issues that may experience. First is the pre-combination phase. This first phase consists of planning activities designated to ensure the success of the combined organization. The organization that initiates the merger and acquisition must identify a candidate. Organization work with it to gather information about each other and plan the implementation and integration activities. Research shows that pre-combination activities are critical to merger and acquisition success. So these include, number 1, search and select candidate. This involves developing screening criteria to assess and narrow the field of candidate organizations, agreeing on the first choice candidate, assessing regularly compliance, establishing initial contacts, and formulating a letter of intent. Number 2, create and merger and acquisition team. This team typically comprises senior executive and experts in such areas as business, valuation, technology, organization, and marketing. Number 3, establish business case. The purpose of this activity is to develop a prima facie case that combining the two organizations will result in a competitive advantage that exceeds their separate advantages. It includes specifying the strategic vision, competitive strategy, and system integration potential for the merger and acquisition. Number 4, perform a due diligence assessment. This involves evaluating whether the two organizations actually have the managerial, technical, and financial resources that each assumes the other possesses. It includes a comprehensive review of each organization's article of incorporation, stock option plans, organization charts. Number 5, develop merger integration plans. This stage specifies how the two organizations will be combined. It defines integration objectives, the scope and timing of integration activities, organization design criteria, D1 requirements, and who does what, where, and when. The scope of these plans depends on how integrated the organization will be. The second phase is legal combination phase. This phase of merger and acquisition process involves the legal and financial aspects of the transaction. The two organizations settle on the terms of the deal, gain approval from regulatory agencies and shareholders, and file appropriate legal documents. The last phase is the operational combination phase. This phase involves implementing the merger integration plan. In practice, it begins during due diligence assessment and may continue for months or years following the legal combination phase. Merger and acquisition implementation includes 3 kinds of activities as described below. First is the day 1 activities. These include communication and actions that officially start the implementation process. For example, announcement may be made about key executive of the combined organization, the location of corporate headquarters, the structure of the tasks and areas and functions where layoffs will occur. Special attention is paid to sending important symbolic messages to organization members, investors, and regulators about soundness of merger plans and changes that are critical to accomplishing strategic and operational activities. Number 2, operational and technical integration activities. These involve the physical move structural changes, work design, and procedure that will be implemented to accomplish the strategic objectives and expected cost savings of the merger and acquisition. The merger integration plan lists these activities which can be large in the number and range in the scope from seemingly trivial to quite critical. The last one is cultural integration activities. These tasks are aimed at building new values and norms in the combined organization. Successful implementation melds both the technical and cultural aspects of the combined organization. For example, members from both organizations can be encouraged to solve business problems together, thus addressing operational and cultural integration issues simultaneously.